Hi friends, it's Julia. I am here with my final week plus a couple of days of my 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life Round 10. I'm starting off with day number 22, and this one is a sketch created by Kathy Donaldson Taylor. And you can see there's 3 photos. There's a ton of paper piecing in the background. There's some banners up here, and the journaling is going around the page. Well, you guys know. I changed it up a little bit. I do have my 3 photos. I do have a cluster up here, though it's not banners coming down. There's a scallop piece on this side, but I used a border punch as well as a cut apart piece along this side. My title is still down at the bottom, and I created a journal area here for me to do my journaling instead of having it go around the edge, because I had this paper that had this busy background that I needed to use. I wanted to ensure that I used it. So, hence the need to put my journaling someplace else. So what I did was I still use the same 3 photos. These are 4x4, a little bit less than 4x4. I think the mats are 4x4. Anywho, I put them in the center, and I think the ones in the sketch were a little bit smaller. And so instead of having a plain piece of paper here, I have this busy floral paper. I created 3 clusters, 1, 2, and 3. Used enamel dots, puffy stickers. I used chipboard pieces. I used phrase stickers. There's more chipboard, cut apart, cut apart. The pink alphabet that I had in there, I actually had to Frankenstein a little bit. I didn't have any T's. I ran out of T's. Anyway, so there's sketch number 22. Sketch number 23 was created by Sherry Stewart. Now this is one, y'all, that I struggled with. So there's lines of paper, swatches of paper here, here, and here, and 1, 2, 3 photos with embellishment clusters, and then the title is right in the middle. I didn't feel it, okay? So I used what inspiration I could with the pattern papers going horizontally. I took that as my cue, and 3 photos on the layout. I took that as my cue, and so this is what I created. Instead of having paper, 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 photo, 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 I put my photos across the bottom of the layout, used a border strip down here or a cut apart piece down here, made a cluster here with some scrap paper, and then used a ton of scraps to go across the top to create the paper in strips like this, kind of like in the sketch. And then my background paper also has a stripe that is going up and down, vertical. Then I took a cut apart piece that I cut out of, fussy cut out of the background paper, put part of it up here, added a few additional embellishments. This is from as part of the cut apart. This was attached to it. It's not something I added. It's not one of the pieces that I fussy cut. Added enamel dots, and even down here on this cut apart, it had a phrase on it. It really didn't fit the situation, so I just went over it with a piece of chipboard. Used a couple of die cut pieces from the Cocoa Pack and popped them up on foam dots and called it good. I guess I can show you that without that. And then of course my title is over in that left upper corner. So sketch number 24. This one is a busy sketch, and it's hard to see it on this one, I know, but there's multiple layers of paper behind 2 photos and 1, 2, 3 clusters with a title and journaling down here in this right corner. I kind of followed it, kind of didn't. I do have multiple papers layered up. This was actually the very last layout that I completed for the month, and on this one I pulled in an additional 4 pieces of paper in order to give me the background that I created. I only had the 1 pattern piece left. I pulled in this paper, and this paper. Behind the photo, I used this paper and this paper to create my background to give it some lift from the paper that's there. I used the last of the pieces, the floral arrangements that I had fussy cut. I used enamel dots. I went through with a black Sharpie and did the faux stitching around the pattern paper to give it some distinction. And of course I have my 2 photos in the middle. The inspiration photo called for them to be straight up and down, but because of the photos that I had, it would have made them too wide because I did not cut them down any smaller than, I think these are 3.5 by 5. If I had cut them down smaller, I could have done that, but otherwise I tilted them in a little bit and crossed them over and called it good. My title is along the bottom, but it's not all centered down here on this left or on this right corner. I stretched it out to go with the photos. This is before and after, along with the photos. So that is layout number 24. Layout number 25 is actually the start of my last 7 days of the month, which are the Counterfeit Kit Challenge series. So I used my October 2022 kit to create these layouts. This one is a sketch created by Allison Davis. I don't know that it was created specifically for this 30 days of sketches or if it was one that was okayed by Scrapbook Generation or Allison Davis to go with this challenge. So anyway, you have 3 photos, you have strips of paper with stitching, and then you have clusters along, and then a title at the bottom. So this is what I created. I have my 3 photos, and I layered them just like in the sketch. Instead of having a cluster here and a cluster here, I made one large cluster at the top. And then also instead of having, or no, I did have a cluster down here at the bottom with my long title there. And then these pieces here are, most of them are washi tape on scrap paper, and they do span the length of this, but you can't see it because the top pieces are mostly behind this cluster. And I did fill in that small area right there with embracing, the word embracing in the tile letters, only because it was too much of a gap there. And so yeah, that's how that one, it's similar to the inspiration, but not 100%, and it works for me. Layout number 26 is one created by Jen Miller, and it's here. And it has strips of paper this way and this way, same at the top and the bottom, with 3 photos. I did mine a little differently, y'all. That should not surprise anyone. I still use 3 photos, right? I still have strips of paper going this way, and I have some strips of paper going this way, but I altered it just a little. Instead of having a cluster of paper coming this way and a photo here, and a cluster of paper going this way and a couple of photos here, I put all 3 of my photos here and then had the paper come up and down like this. And I used the spaces around to create my 3 embellishment clusters and just utilized it that way. I guess I could move that out of the way. And on this one, I love that I was able to get the story told. These are not the best of pictures. They're kind of blurry. They were taken from my husband's phone when he inadvertently left the door open and a bird flew in. So yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but the bird is right there on the edge of that. And there he is on top. And there he is from a distance. Yeah, so pretty cool. Bird got in the house. Thank goodness didn't poo anywhere. Anyway, day number 17 was created by Sarah Scraps. Now this one has a circle as the background, and then a tower of 3 photos with the title down the middle and maybe a journaling spot over on the opposite side. So I wasn't inspired necessarily to create a layout that looked like this, but I was inspired. Circles and a strip of photos and a long title and journaling, and so this is what I created. Okay, my background paper has circles. There's no denying that. I have my photos stacked here. I have 3 photos and they're stacked. The big difference is I put a cluster over here instead of having a cluster over on this side. It just didn't, no matter how I worked with it, I just couldn't get it to feel right. Maybe if I had put this closer to the wall over here, it would have felt differently, but it didn't. So I put my 3 clusters there, used embellishments. I even used washi tape butterflies. So I have 3 little butterflies here, here, and here, that are all from washi tape. I guess I could show you without that. There we go. Then we're on to day 28. It was a sketch created by Angela Velasquez. And so it's 3 photos on the bottom third of the page, a lot of border strips up here, a little cluster at the top here, and maybe something right down here. So I was inspired to create this. Again, my 3 photos across here. They are not lined up straight. They're kind of wonky, just like in the sketch. I have my border strips or banner strips up here that I created out of scrap pieces of paper. And then I took some embellishments and put different things here, here, and here to create my layout. And it mimics the inspiration. The inspiration did not have that, but I had used some washi strip, or not washi, oh, what do you call them? Rub-ons, and they did not do well across here, so I just covered it up with washi tape and some lace that I had added in. But you can see, and this says hashtag all the fills. That's really my title. And then Friends for Life could be a title as well, because this is my granddaughter's Wince. He's the ultimate, right? He's been with her since birth. But this guy is the one that she got the day that she was getting her tonsils out. And so this guy became her new friend. Anywho, so there we go. So there's that one. Day number 28. So for day 29 is a sketch created by Susanna Lee. Now this one calls for 4 photos, which I followed along, 4 photos. And it's got a long title down along that. And I did the same thing. And so it's got a border piece of paper here, some journaling over here, and then a lot of white space. So I followed this one really, really closely. Did it turn out exactly like the sketch shows? No, it didn't. But it has the same concept. I don't have as much white space as theirs did, only because when I brought my the end of my poem over here, my embellishment cluster, I put at the end instead of on top of, because I didn't want it to run into the next one, but it wouldn't have made a difference. I could have done it. No biggie. But this is how mine turned out. I have the sliver of paper here. I have a different pattern paper behind each of the photos. And then, of course, I have my photos there. And then my long title, which is actually a poem. And then I have an embellishment cluster, which this one shows a heart, a single heart at each photo. So I went a little bit heavier with my embellishments there. Let me show you without the number on there. So there you go. There's that one. Then the next one is day 30, and this one is by Kathy Zakaric, I think. Anyway, it shows these pieces of paper coming down the center here. It looks like they may be torn, whether they're torn from this side and then torn from the middle or just centrally, I don't know. But it looks like a central photo here with some tucking of embellishments behind it, a cluster up at the top, and then a cluster over to the side. Well, I kind of ran with it. I did not do exactly as the sketch showed, but I did something similar. So instead of tearing paper, I took my my stripe paper and put it in the background, did some tucking with some frames that I had cut out, used some scrap paper to create some banners up here, and then a cross piece with a saying on it that kind of finished off that cluster. And then instead of taking this cluster over to the edge of the paper here, I felt like I needed to keep it here beside the photo. And there is an embellishment of some sort down at the lower side of the photo. But in the sketch, it showed a portrait orientation photo that was much smaller than mine. Mine is landscape or horizontal, and it's a much larger photo. So I felt like doing my clusters here as opposed to one over here, it worked out for me. So, and then on this one, you'll see I carried that green into 3 places. That's really the only thing that I did here. I have blings, and I have stickers, and I have chipboards. I have lots of different embellishments throughout this layout, and I love how it turned out, and I would make it again just the same way. Anywho, so there's day number 30, and finally, let me move on to day number 31. This one is a layout that has a central photo and 4 clusters around, and then some paper piecing below the photo, and then the title at the top on the right, and the journaling at the bottom on the left. And I sort of followed it. It's not 100%. I have a central photo. I have pattern paper behind it. I have a cluster here, a cluster here, and a cluster here to make my 3 embellishment clusters. And because I brought the photo down and I used a larger size, I used a 5x7 instead of like maybe a 3x5 in the original, or a 3x4, and I brought it down here. I left off the other cluster that would have been down on this side, coming up this direction. But you can see I used tons of scraps on this layout to get everything on here, and it worked out great. I put because it is a 5x7 and I had lots of room on here, I went ahead and put my title on the photo itself and then put my journaling here, as opposed to having my journaling here and my title here. So let me pull that out so you can see that without the slip of paper in there. But anyway, that is the last sketch for the month of October 2022 that I completed for Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches Round 10. Now, if you are interested in seeing all of these closer, I do have I will have close-ups of the photos or of the layouts at the end of the video, so that you can stop and pause where you want to, so you can get a better look. And I have posted these to each day over on the Facebook channel for Christy's Beautiful Life. So if you're interested, you can always go over there and not only see my layouts, but everybody else who participated. This day is, I think, 3 over, 28, 29, 30. Yeah, 3 days over, so an additional 3 sketches. So we have 10 sketches instead of just 7 today. Anyway, I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you watching my video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments, and I'll get to you as quick as I can. You know, I'm not the best at being timely about responding to those comments, but I get to them. It's just when I have a few minutes free to get to them. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next video. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.